Hi, my name is Waza, and I'm going to take you through how to use the guitar toolkit. Just a bit of background on it. It's a tool I developed for myself to assist in my learning and playing when it comes to the CAGED system. I wanted a tool where I could have everything in one place. I built the tool and I thought that I would put it out there and hopefully you guys can get a lot out of it too. All right, firstly, where do you find the tool? You find the tool at www.fcsza.com/guitar. It'll bring you to this login page. I'm going to do the rest of the demo on my local version. Once you get here, if you haven't created a login yet, you can click on sign up now. We'll just put in user 2, create a password, confirm that password, and you can submit that. You can then go in and you can log in using the credentials you just created. That brings you through to the demo version of the Guitar Toolkit. Now the demo version has got everything that the full version has got for the A and the E cage shapes, which you'll find are the two most popular shapes that you're going to use. The E has the root on the 6th string and the A shapes have the root on the 5th string. So those are the two most popular. So those are free and there's a lot of information on those two. If you decide that you want all 5 shapes, then you can buy the full version. And if you want to find more info on that, you can click on this little icon here and you can see the full version is only $29 and you can email me at this email address here to find out more about that. I'm also going to offer additional tools like this on music theory and lead guitar. So if we go back home, you always go home clicking on this little guitar icon. You can see here we have 2 sections. We first have this CAGED toolkit section here, and then we have a key study. Now the CAGED section is divided into CAGED. These are all of your major CAGED shapes, shape by shape. We have minor, which are your minor CAGED shapes. We have a deep dive, and then we have some chord progression examples to see how we can use these. So let's go into CAGED. As you can see, only the A and the E buttons are active. So you can go into the A version. Here you can see a fret diagram. You can see the 1, the red, is the root. The colors are always going to be the same throughout the entire tool. 1 is always your root. 5 is always yellow, and your 3rd is always green. If any of the notes are flattened or minor versions like a flat 3, it will still be green, but it will be a shaded version of green. So you always know that your 3rds are green. So here we can see the A-shape chord. We can then click on the arpeggio. You can see the A-shape arpeggio, so you can see where your chord tones are. You can see your A major pentatonic. And again, the colors are consistent. The 2 is purple and the 6 is blue. They're the additional notes added to the arpeggio to make the A major pentatonic. And then we can see the full A major scale. Now we have a few additional notes. We have the 4th and the 7th, and both brown and blue, and they're solid colors, so they are the major version of those notes, so they're not flatted. If we go across to the E, here we can see the E chord. This is your E bar chord rooted on the 6th string. Again, you can see your 3rds and your 5ths. We have the arpeggio. We add in the pentatonic notes, and you have the major scale. So this is a really nice way to practice your scale, full major scale, your pentatonic, your arpeggio, and the chord that you're getting it from. If we go to the minor version, again, we have the A minor and the E minor active. Here we have the A minor chord. Here you can see flat 3 is a lighter shade of green, but it's still green, so your 3rds are always green. We have the arpeggio. The root and 5th are still red and yellow. We have the pentatonic. Here you can see we're not looking at a normal seventh here. We're looking at a flat seven, so it's a shaded color of brown. And then we go to the minor scale. We have the flat six. The sixth note is blue. Because this is flatted, it's a lighter shade of blue, a lighter shade of brown, and a lighter shade of green for the flattened notes. But same as the major shape, you have your 4 different patterns here that you can go through and practice, and you have it for the E and for the A shapes. If we go into a deep dive, here we have the A and the E active. If we're looking at the A, here we have the full A major scale color-coded, and on the side we have the chords that can be found in this one shape. You might not know, but every shape you play, you can literally make up every chord of that key in that position. So here you can see the one chord is made up of red, green, and yellow. So any red, green, and yellow played in combination would be a major triad. So here you can see we have those 3 next to each other. You can play your A shape and you get your triad. Or you could play your 5th here, your 3rd here, and your root here to get your triad there. So this is just an overview. You can go through, and I've color-coded every single, your 4 chord is red, light blue, and dark blue. So wherever you play red, dark blue, and light blue here, you have your D shape. In this position, that D shape chord would be your 4 chord. You can see your 5, your 6, and your 7. So if we go to the 1 chord, this shows you the triads for the 1 chord. So we've taken just the arpeggio for the A shape, and we've broken out the 3 triads that can be found in this position. So you can play your 1 chord in any one of these 3 positions. There's your 2 chord in the same area. Here's the arpeggio for the 2 chord. So if you're soloing over the 2 chord, you can hit any of these notes in that scale. They're all chord tones. And here are your 3 triads. We have the same for the 3 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, the 6 chord, and the 7 chord. So in that one position, you can play all 7 chords. You have an arpeggio and triads, so you can play the chord, or you can solo and hit target tones for each one of your chords in that position. If we go to the E shape, exactly the same format. We have the color-coded major scale. We pull out of that position the triads there. We have the arpeggio with all the chord tones. We have the 3 triads you can play in that position. The 2 chord in that position would be these notes and these triads. The 3 chord, 4 chord. So if you're doing a chord progression, you can practice. Say you're doing a 1-4-5. You know that these are your notes that are chord tones for the 1. You can play your 1 chord in any of these positions, or you can play the full bar chord. When you go to the 4, these are all your chord tones that you want to hit when you're targeting. Here's your arpeggio. And these are the 2 triads you can use. And when you go to the 5 chord, you can use your D shape there, or you can use that C shape there with your arpeggio. So that will help with your chord tone targeting in every single position. Again, the full version has this for all 5 shapes. So that's your deep dive. If we're looking at chord progression examples, we only have the E and the A. But if we were doing a 1-5-6-4 progression, meaning we're playing the 1 chord, the 5 chord, the 6 chord, and the 4 chord. If you don't understand this theory, I do have a music theory option that you can look at. But your 1, 4, and 5 are always major and your 6 is minor. So if you wanted to play that in one position, your 1 chord would be here. There's your pentatonic shape with the chord tones highlighted. In the same position, when you move to the 5 chord, there's your 5 chord pentatonic with chord tones. Again, you have your red, green, and yellow for your 1, 3, and 5. Your 6 is minor. You can see the shaded color for the green flattened third. There's your 6 chord arpeggio and chord tones with the pentatonic scale. The notes that aren't colored are the additional pentatonic notes. And then your 4 chord, there's your position for the 4 chord. That is in your E position. If you're looking at your A CAGED shape, because we're looking at everything E and A, here you can see your 1 chord was rooted on the 6th string. Here your 1 chord is rooted on the 5th string. you can see all your pentatonic shapes with chord tones in that position. So if you were doing a 6-string chord to a 5th string chord, you could jump between these two shapes and so forth. But here we're looking at rooted on the one chord rooted on the 6th string and the 5th string for your A shape and your E shape. So that's where we get into the chord progressions. Now if we go down to the key study. So here I've taken the keys of C, A, G, E, and D for both major keys and minor keys and applied these CAGED shapes to them. So if we look at A major, here we have the fretboard with all of the intervals on the fretboard, with the 1 being A, because we're looking at an A root. And you can see the shaded notes are the flats and the full color notes are the natural notes. So we have an A-rooted fretboard. If we want to see major and minor triads, we can see this diagram, and you can see all your triads across the fretboard in the key of A for the A chord. And you can see that would be major with a 3rd and a minor triad if you flatten the 3rd. So here you can see your D shape. That would be a major, an A major. If you flatten that, it looks like your D minor shape. That would be the A minor chord played in the D minor shape. So there you can see how to change a major triad to a minor. We have the scale. This is similar info to what we had before, but it's across the entire fretboard. So now you can start moving around from position to position. We have the minor scale, major pentatonic across the whole fretboard, minor pentatonic. We have the arpeggios across the whole fretboard, so you can start sliding from one arpeggio shape to another to move around the fretboard. We have all of our triads, our A triads, with the pentatonic notes added. So you can see this is your 1, pentatonic shape 1, going to pentatonic shape 2, etc. I'm going on the idea that even though this shape here, you're using the major shape, I'm still calling it shape 1. So the minor pentatonic shape that everyone learns first, I'm calling shape 1 for both major and minor. If you started on this note, it would be minor, that note major. So here would be your minor pentatonic shape in the key of A. We have triads on strings 1, 2, and 3. So if you're soloing, you can pick out those chord tone notes. We have the triads on strings 2, 3, and 4, 3, 4, and 5, and 4, 5, and 6. And we have the same information for your A minor. If we go back, we have the E major and minor, same format, but here the root note is on E. So here's your full fretboard with all intervals with the root note on E. We have the E major scale, E major pentatonic, E major arpeggios, triads within the pentatonic positions, your triads on all the string sets. We have all your triads, both major and minor. Here you can see that would be your E major. If you flatten the 3rd, it would be your E minor. That would be your D minor shape and your D major shape. But because we're not playing it here, we're moving it up 2 frets. It goes D, D sharp, E. There's your E root note. And we have all the information across for the key of E. So in the full version, we take the key of C, C minor, G, G minor, D, and D minor, and show you how you can apply all those shapes to the different keys. So that is what the CAGED Toolkit is. It's going to be growing and being developed over time, but so far that's where we're at. I think it can add a lot of value. And if you are interested in getting the full version or finding out about any other toolkits to offer, I'm working on a music theory toolkit and lead guitar movable patterns. Give me a shout at this email address and we can look at that. Anyway, thanks for the time, and I hope this adds a lot of value. There's a lot to learn from the E and the A shapes, so I'm sure that'll keep you busy for a very long time. But give me a shout if you want anything more. Thank you so much. Cheers.